Hey, it's summertime. And that means a lot of you are traveling. So I thought it might be good for me this summer to give a once a month or so update that's not just announcements of what's going on that week, but maybe a little more behind the scenes, kind of what's going on at the church from a sort of a leadership, or at least sort of maybe not 10, but at least 5,000 feet up, kind of what are some moving pieces. And the theme of this then, my sort of announcement sort of video here is this month is going to be cooperative innovation. It's one of the values we identified in our strategic plan last year. And so you'll see I'm wearing my Kirchenwald swag, and that's one of the Lutheran Bible camps in the area that we support. And something really cool has happened the last couple of years that I think is an example of cooperative innovation, where we have some camp counselors come here and lead our vacation Bible school. And then on the last day, we joined Camp Kirchenwald for some Friday night fun. And for a lot of families and kids, this might be their first time at the camp, an introduction to the camping ministry, to the staff of the camp, as well as the then going on Friday. And at the same time, we have a lot of our middle schoolers going there for confirmation camp. And this is where a joint venture, we're cooperating with other churches to make this possible. But St. Paul, because again, we're a leading church in this area, plays a leading role in all of this. But I think we can rejoice that all the kids so far have been safe. And I just again want to lift that up as a cool ministry and example of some cooperative innovation that we're doing. This Sunday, the church council will meet for sort of a semi or annual kind of planning session. And there's three things they're going to look at. And the one definitely has to do with cooperative innovation. And that is, right now we have a lot of people in this church that they're hearing the word, they're worshiping, they're connecting with other people, and they want to serve Jesus. And they're coming to us as a staff and saying, we'd like to support this endeavor. We'd like to raise money for this charity, or we want to do this. And right now, that comes down to a lot of kind of what we've done before, or what on that particular day the particular staff member thinks of it. And we realize that's not a great system. And so we want to kind of come up with some policies, some procedures, a way in which we can sort of figure out as a church how to best cooperatively innovate, how to live out another value we have of service, and sort of allow the most ideas to come forth, but at the same time, leave enough sort of resource bandwidth that we can really effectively make an impact. So that's one thing the council is going to be considering. Another way which we've been sort of innovating is thinking about ways to have fresh expressions of church, knowing that there's barriers for people coming on a Sunday morning. And so we worship outside, and we know that service is really easy to invite people to. We've been developing the sacred grounds. And one of the challenges now is that it's such an attractive space that a number of people are coming to us and saying, hey, we'd like to put a memorial to a family here. We'd like to bury ashes of a loved one here. And we need for the council to kind of think through this, and what kind of protocol do we want around that to make it possible, perhaps. But again, how do we want to do that? Lastly, the council is going to be looking at the narthex as part of the strategic plan. Part of it was welcoming. We know we get visitors every week. And for a lot of people, they make a decision about whether they want to come back to a church before they've even sat down, based on their experience kind of coming into a space. And there was some real innovation 70 years ago when they built that space. But I think we're thinking through how can we make that a welcoming space? What do we really want that space to be used for? So there's perhaps some innovation there, but definitely trying to think through. So there's a group that's been looking at that, and now this Sunday council is going to consider some of their proposals and start to make some plans for how to move forward. Some last kind of smaller items. Now that the capital campaign is more or less over, not the raising of the money, but really the work is just on its final stages of some final checkoffs by the company, proofing to make sure that they did all the work. But the bulk of the work, the roof, the solar panels, and the lighting, it's all done. And we're just waiting for PPL to turn on the switch. But that means that we sort of now have some energy to think about other things in our building. And what's happening now is that everybody who's going up to Lyle Hassard, our director of operations, whenever they see him, they're like, Lyle, this is what's broken at the church. And that's a little bit overwhelming for Lyle, especially on a Sunday morning when he's trying to worship with his family. So Lyle's actually come up with a form that you can fill out, and then that way we can get things in a queue, and we actually have somebody who's going to be helping out Lyle, who's going to be helping sort of do some of those. And that'll actually be in the comments section, the link for that. This summer, I'll be continuing doing a podcast on Paul's letter to the Romans. So if you're on vacation and you want a little Bible study, that can be hopefully a tool for you. But again, there's lots of wonderful stuff going on. We had a great celebration for confirmation. My trip in Tanzania was profound and wonderful. Vicar Kim and Robert Wallace preached powerful sermons if you didn't hear them while I was gone. But that's just a little bit of an update, thinking about cooperative innovation, thinking about what's going on, and always inviting you to continue to pray for the church.